Hi everyone, so I hope you're all sitting comfortably. This is a bit of a long one. This set I did on Friday. She wanted pink and mermaidy, and so I hope you all enjoy. I've removed most of the bulk from her previous nails and just left a very thin clear base. And so I'm starting on the pinky, and I'm using CJP, crystal glass and marshmallow. So I've just put a thin base on the natural nail, and then I'm using the marshmallow from the tip and pulling it up because I want a nice solid colour there. So just blending along that smile line there, and I'm going into the crystal glass and picking up some of my mermaid scales in punch. These are quite curved, so they take a bit of getting used to work with. So I'm just placing on the nail and then pushing round. Don't worry about them laying perfectly flat, because these are an iridescent glitter. If they stick out a little bit and you file into them, it doesn't really matter, you can't tell, whereas a lot of glitters have a silver base, and when you file into them you file down to that silver and you lose the colour, which is why you want to keep that nice and flat, but these are alright to file into a bit. On the ring finger I'm just doing a backfill, because on this one I'm going to do a shell design, so I'm just adding CJP marshmallow on the backfill there. And then on the pointer finger I'm going to be using some of my sparkle netting in Bubblegum, so I'm just getting an idea of the size. And I'm just going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to go over with some clear acrylic. And then coming in with the mermaid scales again, starting at the cuticle area and bringing down, and I'm going to put these across the line of the netting and down the nail a little way. And then I'm just using a wet bead of the clear acrylic. I'm not trying to cap, I'm just going to pop that in so it sets a little bit in place, so that when I then go to cap, those mermaid scales are in place. So as I've done with the pinky, I'm coming back to it now. So when I now go to cap it, those mermaid scales won't move around, and I'm capping the entire nail in crystal glass, and this I'm now thinking about the structure and the shape of the nail. Another reason you do that initial first bead a little wet is because these are quite curved, so if you use a wetter acrylic it actually gets in between all the gaps in between the glitters. And going back to the other mermaid scales, you'd have noticed there were some bulldog clips there. All that was as the acrylic was setting, I let the netting set in place a little bit, and then I put bulldog clips onto the netting just to keep that weight down so I could then move on to another nail. And again, capping, just thinking about the structure and creating that nail now, doing as much as you possibly can with your brush so that when you file there's less work to be done. And this nail I'm going to do an imprinted netting design, so I want to make sure I get a nice bead of the colour because I'm wanting to imprint on this, so I need to make sure that all of this colour is setting at the same time, so it needs to be done with one bead. Obviously when you're working on larger nails this can be quite tricky, so you'd need a larger brush, so you'd need at least a size 12. And as that is setting, I'm just going to rest my client's finger on my little finger rest, and then I'm going to get some normal netting and I'm going to dip this in the acrylic. Now I dip this in the acrylic so that it doesn't get stuck to the setting acrylic, and then I'm going to press that into the nail quite firmly. Just ask your client not to push against you, but to just have that little bit of resistance, and then very gently pull that netting out. Now as you can see, that's left a netted design imprinted onto that nail. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cap that in clear acrylic just to fill that nail. And now I'm thinking about the structure and the shape of the nail, making sure I'm getting that apex in place. None of these nails are being pinched because they are a redesign of a previous set, and obviously that base layer of acrylic is fully set, so you can't pinch them. I would normally do a redesign 2 or 3 times on my client's nails, and then I file back down and resculpt again. And the thumb is also having a shell design, so I'm just doing a backfill with Marshmallow again. And I'm just going to file them into shape. So just using my scissors to just cut away that excess netting. And once again, keeping my filing all the same. So I do side wall, free edge, cuticle area, and then the entire nail. Always do it in the same routine every time I file. Always making sure, as you can see, I'm always moving that finger around, keeping an eye, making sure that I'm getting the structure and the shape I want on that nail. Don't be afraid to move your client's hands and manipulate them so that you can see exactly how that nail is shaping up. Always keeping my file moving so you're never building up any heat onto the nail either, and you get a nice even finish. And again, working across this nail, doing exactly the same. Free edge, side wall, free edge, cuticle area, and then the body of the nail. And this now with the netting, because it's fine netting, the sparkle netting, you shouldn't have too many problems with frays. However, if you are working with netting and you're filing and you find that you're getting little frayed bits of netting, and however much you file, they're not going away. It's the same with lace. Stop filing, brush off the dust, and use a little bit of nail glue. So I use NSI Polybond just along the netting, and then carry on filing other nails. And then once that is dried, you can go back and file, and that will just file off nice and smoothly then. And as I said, I'm not too worried about filing in if a few of these curls of Mermaid scales are sticking up. The majority of them were encapsulated. Just filing in that embedded netting design. Whenever you're doing any embedded designs like this, just make sure when you go around your cuticle area you go nice and gently and slowly, because you don't want to overfile and lose the pattern that you've created. Just quickly checking that all the same length, and then filing in the thumb. And when I'm happy with that, I'm just using my plush brush, and then I'm using my brushy bit just to make sure all of the dust is off the nails. Okay, so now I'm going to make my shell design on the index finger. So I'm using Crystal Nails titanium gel. You can use any builder gel. I'm using my Barber 2 brush. I'm coming in with a nice bead, starting in the centre and drawing up the nail. You do need quite a steady hand for this. But the good thing about using these gels is that you can build up the layers, so you don't have to do it all in one go. And then I'm coming across along one side, building in the rest of the shape of the shell I'm wanting. Now if you want to cure this now, you can, to set that gel in place, or you can go on to work on the other side. Again, apologies for the camera angles sometimes. I just want to make sure those lines are nice and even, and then I'm popping that in the lamp and I'm curing that for 90 seconds LED, and then I'm using my CJP LED no wipe top coat, taking my time to make sure I'm covering the nail entirely, not missing any gaps, and also making sure there's not an excess of product in between the texture. And then once it's been cured for 60 seconds, using an eyeshadow applicator and my Miss Lucy's silver chrome and just rubbing that into that design. Then I'm using pigment brushes to give it a really good brush. Make sure you can be quite firm at this point because you don't want too much excess chrome, because then it will give you a shimmery effect. You want that nice chrome finish. And then I'm curing that for just 30 seconds this time because I want a partial cure. And then I'm going to top coat all the other nails. My cousin's finger poked in at that point because she'd just come and noticed how pretty the silver chrome was. She wanted her cameo. And then there's the second top coat on the chrome nail there. And then final cure is 60 seconds. Then I'm going to do a similar design on the thumb, but instead we're going to start at the cuticle area and work down. Taking my time, and if you need to, you can cure after each one is in place if you're worried about catching it. And when I'm happy with that design, I'm setting in the lamp, LED 60 seconds, and then I'm coming over with my no wipe top coat again, making sure it's all covered and there's not an excess of product in between the shape and the design. And once again, once that's cured for 60 seconds, coming on with the chrome. You need very little chrome to get good coverage, and then giving it a good scrub with that pigment brush. And then the first top coat, just float it over so it doesn't drag, and then that will be cured for 30 seconds. And then on comes the second top coat, and then this will have the full cure for 60 seconds. So I'm just going to use some Swarovskis as well. So I'm using NSI Polybond, a little wax crayon, and Crystal AB Swarovski in SS5 from Scatter Crystals. And then I'm going to use one of the raindrops or teardrops. A little bit of glue. These can be a little fiddly to get hold of. Use my tweezers to pop that in place. And then either side I'm going to place some SS5 and SS3 Crystal AB Swarovskis. So adding the glue as I go along. And creating almost a beautiful necklace design around the shell. And giving that glue just a chance to set, and then I'm coming in and I'm using Bling On by Akzentz. Using a very fine brush just to put a small coat around the edge. Not covering the crystal, just going around it and then curing for 60 seconds to make sure that that stays. And again, coming in with my very thin brush around the edge of the Swarovskis, around the teardrop, and then curing for 60 seconds LED. And this just helps keep those Swarovskis in place. And then just coming in with a bit of top coat just to smooth off that finish, so you don't get a ridge where you've put that bling on. And then when the nails are all finished, coming in with a bit of NSI Nurture Oil And here we have it. These are my mermaid chrome nails. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, just pop it below. And thanks for tuning in. Bye guys.